What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're reacting to When Karma Perfectly Strikes Awful People. So basically, this is the case of when karma comes back and bites someone immediately. From my understanding of this. Well, that's what I'm interpreting when it comes to this title. So, yeah, this is a bit of a long video, almost 40 minutes long. So, let's get right on into it, shall we? But before that, like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this reaction video. Hit the notification button to be notified immediately when the video comes out. In the comment section below, if there's any videos you'd like to recommend that I should react to, put it down there and I'll react to it as soon as possible. The link to this video is going to be down in the description below, so be sure to check out the original video, and be sure to give BMA some love and support for the video that they made. Now with this all said, let's get on to this video, shall we? Okay, so let's see how this goes.
Get out! Go!
That's right. From bumbling burglars to pathetic poachers, here are some of the most satisfying times karma came for awful people. Nobody likes a bad sport. Just asked Redditor Caden103. He recalled a particular game of volleyball he played with some friends. Well, friends
Okay,
and
sounds good
Ed.
for now.
Ed wasn't his real name, but for the purposes of this story, we'll refer to him as such. Now, see, Ed was a complete and utter rodent. The guy had a serious reputation as an overly angry man-baby. In the game, he spent the whole time ranting and raving, claiming everybody else was breaking the rules and acting like a grade-A dingus. Naturally, nobody was having fun with Ed around. But Caden and the gang came up with an idea. Maybe it was possible to have a little fun with him around after all. They started to intentionally act up, flagrantly breaking the rules, acting like idiots, and generally not taking the game seriously at all. Ed reacted as Caden and the others predicted that he would. He got more and more worked up, completely unable to understand why the other players would want to act so foolishly. His rage built, his anger grew, until finally he could handle no more. Ed dropped to his knees, balled his fists, and screamed a primal scream of frustration to the heavens. Yes, like Platoon, only not in a cool way. The universe agreed, and at that exact same moment, a pigeon swooped overhead, taking a dump directly onto Ed's head. Incredible. Caden and his friends laughed about the incident for weeks, and hopefully the pigeon's victim learned to pull his Ed out of his ass. I can't.
Oh, I get it. It's his, because his nickname would probably be due to the name of Richard. If anyone understands that, then cookie for you. Or, I don't know. Favorite comfort food / favorite snack for you.
And bullies. They make my skin crawl. So, hearing this tale from
Yeah.
Reddit user Physics is My Mistress
bullies
had
to
me
begin
on
with.
cloud 9 all day. Back when he was a teenager, Physics went to Boy Scouts with a horrid little brat called Max. Max loved nothing more than bullying the kids around him, and he and his lackeys would target everybody they could. Then at summer camp, Max decided Physics was his next target. The disgusting rat boy proceeded to make our hero's life hell, culminating in a physical altercation. Max just up and decided to lay a beating on Physics, who bravely defended himself. The brawl was eventually broken up by a troop leader, and Max and his minions wasted no time lying about what had happened. They ran right to the scoutmaster, tail between their legs, and gave him some crazy story about how Physics had started the fight with them. Naturally, despite being the victim, Physics was reprimanded. Our guy was banned from camping trips for 4 months and forced to pen a pointless essay about why picking fights was wrong. What a joke. But the joke was about to be on Max and his buddies. Buckle up. Or should I say, zip up. You see, Max's tent had a particularly temperamental zip. It would very often get stuck. Hard stuck, as in Max would be completely unable to open the tent stuck. The very next night, the bully awoke with a start. He needed to pee. He clambered over the next two minions he was bunking with and discovered with horror that, once again, his tent's zip was stuck. He roused his henchmen and had them try to open it up, but no dice. The trio struggled for more than 2 hours until Max simply couldn't hold it in anymore. And when you gotta go, you gotta go. And the three knuckleheads then enjoyed spending the rest of the week sleeping in a tent that reeked of Max's urine.
Honestly, they deserve that.
And that's not the only pee-themed karma we've got for you today. Oh no. Redditor Super Awesome Ninja Guy attended a hippie festival named Hookahville with some pals and was having a great time. And that was until around 2 in the morning when a stranger emerged from the sea of tents and barged into his campsite. The intruder was, inebriated, to say the least. Under the influence of a whole load of YouTube-unfriendly substances that made him more than a little belligerent. To the shock of Ninja Guy and his friends, the stranger unzipped his pants and started peeing directly into their bag of Cheetos. Not the snacks, man.
Okay, that's worse.
The group yelled at the weeing weirdo until he finally realized what he was doing and stopped.
I thought
and
he
without
went
a single word of apology, the freak shrugged and disappeared into the tent city once again. What a piece of human garbage. About an hour later, though, the scumbag rocks up to their campsite again. Even more out of it than he was before. He sat next to the group and simply stared. Obviously both infuriated that P-Guy had returned and confused as to why he'd decided to sit with them, Ninja Guy and his friends opted to ignore the loser and hope he'd leave on his own. No, he didn't. He sat in silence, staring as though he could see the future. And that was until he abruptly declared, I love Cheetos, and grabbed the bag. He began to hungrily devour the contents, scarfing down the wet, drippy cheese puffs with glee. Ninja Guy and his pals shared a look, nodded, and allowed the guy to keep eating. Never interrupt somebody's meal, that's just bad manners. Eventually, however, the Cheeto chomper seemed to realize that something wasn't quite right, and he declared that they were all soggy and left the campsite never to be seen again. Look, if anybody deserved to chow down on Cheetos and whiz sauce, it's this guy.
Okay, maybe
in July of 2025, in Greenville, North Carolina, a residential area was transformed into what can only be described as the world's worst water park. It seems that an underground pipe had burst, turning the road into a dangerous sinkhole.
Yeah, that's the Tar River. That's the Tar River water. Yo, look at this. The
Tar River
road, bro. The road on 3rd Street, bro. The road ripped apart, bro.
This footage, taken by a Robert Hockaday, chronicles the carnage at the scene. And Robert had the right idea. He should have grabbed a sign and blocked off the area to prevent cars from driving down. But before he had the chance, somebody came careening down the street.
He's trying to stop you, boss man. Oh! It's sinking in even more.
Oh, damn.
Oh!
That's...
Go!
Oh.
Oh! I just told him don't go in there.
That's gonna...
Oh my God! I just told him don't go in there.
Yeah, he's gonna need a little help getting out of that one. With his vehicle trapped in the sinkhole, there was no way to get out by himself. And you're probably wondering, why the hell didn't he stop when Robert tried to warn him of the danger?
I tried to stop you, boss man. You know what? I don't want to be rude or anything else, but when a fellow of your color jumps out in front of me and starts waving my truck...
Yeah, that's right. He ignored his warnings because Robert was black. That's all. Well, I hope it was worth it, dude. If you hadn't judged somebody purely based on the color of their skin, you'd have been cruising on Easy Street, literally. I wish my school bullies got their comeuppance, but thankfully Reddit user not...
It's infuriating how some people just act such a way due to that one fact. It's annoying.
Very tasty had the luck that I didn't. Back in either 4th or 5th grade, he struggled to recall, he had a bully that we'll call Grug. Tasty never interacted with Grug, never spent any time with him, and never did anything to antagonize him. But Grug hated him regardless. Described by Tasty as unpredictable and generally an upset human, Grug made it his mission to torment a kid he didn't even know. And he didn't just throw mean words his way. No. He threw hands as well. This situation came to a head one day in the weirdest way possible. See, while minding his own business, talking to friends, Tasty was attacked. Grug ran at him from behind like a coward, using, of all things, a flying karate chop. But
That
Jackie
doesn't
Chan,
sound
he
like
wasn't.
a good idea.
Grug's hand made contact with his shoulder, hitting only bone. The bully recoiled immediately in agony, screaming. The screaming quickly turned to sobbing, and Grug moaned and whined about how Tasty had hurt him. Our hero and his friends burst into uncontrollable laughter at how ludicrous the situation in front of them was, as the bully just cried like a little baby. Hell, they didn't even know he was there until he started whining. The moral of the story is twofold. Don't sneak up on people like a soggy baby, and don't try to karate chop them. Unless you're Jackie Chan, that is.
In all honesty, I don't even understand why he has a dislike for this kid. It makes no sense to me, in all honesty.
Bullying other people is totally unacceptable, but I think it's almost worse to bully a defenseless animal, let alone a cute dog. Back in 2021, a video started making the rounds on social media showing a man in India being utterly vile to a defenseless dog. I won't show you the actual clip here because, frankly, it's really upsetting.
That's all I gotta say to that.
Essentially, some filthy freak grabbed a poor doggo by the ears and yanked it upright for no reason whatsoever. The canine yelped in pain repeatedly, and the sick goblin ignored it. Incredibly, nobody intervened. His cameraman just recorded the sordid affair in silence, presumably because his room temperature IQ prevented him from attempting two actions at once. Now, while no human stepped in to save the day, a nearby bull observed the act and seemed just about as enraged as I am. The animal charged in, plowing into the freak and knocking him to the ground. The degenerate's ugly sandals flew off as the bovine kept him pinned to the ground. Now, presumably the bull was karma incarnate, seeking sweet vengeance on greasy scumbags who enjoy harassing animals. If you mistreat animals, perhaps the bull will come for you too. This is all incredibly ironic, considering that cows are considered sacred to many in India due to their prevalence in Hinduism. I guess you could say this was divine intervention. But sometimes animals don't need any backup. They're more than capable of defending themselves. In this, frankly, iconic footage, a little girl meets some geese. She doesn't like them. Instead of politely leaving the area and ignoring the geese, she wanted to let them know exactly how much she despised them.
NANI?! お前はもう死んでいる。I don't want none, I don't want none.
Now, word to the wise, do not mess with geese. They will mess you up. Exhibit A, this girl will likely grow up with an ingrained phobia of waterfowl. Deservedly so, I might add. But, as mean as geese can be, the animal kingdom can get meaner. In April 2019, several men illegally entered Kruger National Park in South Africa. Now, there's one major reason why anybody would do this: poaching. Parks like this are designed to be a safe place for endangered animals, areas where they can live in peace without fear of game hunters. Animals like rhinos and elephants are often killed for their tusks, which can be sold for use in traditional medicine and luxury items. Park rangers only found out about these particular trespassers when they discovered that one of them was brown bread. Dead.
Whoa.
Confused? So was I.
I mean...
Now, it turns out one of the would-be poachers wound up getting trampled to death by an elephant and then eaten by lions. The scumbag's accomplices escaped, informed his family, and dipped.
Poachers kind of
With this news, rangers set out to recover the villain's body and eventually found his remains, a human skull and a pair of pants.
They're trying to harm endangered animals.
I gotta say, getting squished to bits by the very animal you're intending to illegally hunt is just incredible. And having your body eaten for good measure, yeah, couldn't have
But
happened
I
to a
am
nicer
surprised by
guy.
this.
If only he managed to snag some ivory, he could have used it to make some traditional Chinese medicine that I'm sure would have cured being trampled to death and eaten. If there's one type of person that shows up in these karmic tales more than any other, I'd say it's Karens. Seemingly incapable of treating other people well, it's the little surprises that when karma comes for them, hey, it comes swinging. Take this story from a Reddit user named Biggest Speckus. Speckus was undergoing chemotherapy after being diagnosed with stage 2 cancer. For anybody unaware, chemo takes a massive toll on your body. Sickness, exhaustion, nausea, not to mention hair loss. There's a whole slew of nasty side effects from the treatment that make it a huge ordeal, and Speckus had the lot. So he was naturally feeling awful after one such treatment back in 2018. He clambered on the bus, collapsed into a seat,
You have to be
and
a real piece
exhaled.
of work
But his
to
newfound
cause this
peace
guy
didn't
some
last
problem.
long. A colossal blob of a woman with a "let me speak to the manager" haircut stomped
No.
onto the vehicle, child in tow. Yes,
No.
a big fat Karen and her spawn
No.
entered the bus. As if targeting the most vulnerable around, she made a beeline for Speckus, instantly demanded that he, in particular, give up his seat for her son. Our guy began to explain that he had just come from the hospital, but the horrific hag cut him off, claiming that her son had too. She said that her son had just been to the ER for a broken leg. But here's the thing. Her kid was stood, totally unassisted, and in zero discomfort. Well, aside from the discomfort he clearly felt because of his mom's behavior, Speckus stood his ground, reiterating that he needed the seat, revealing that he'd just been to chemo, and adjusted his wig slightly to show his bald head. Now, any rational human would hear this and apologize, letting it go, but not Karen. The livid lady began to scream directly into our protagonist's face. She screeched, "Stop making excuses and get out of my seat, you skinhead," only with added expletives. Her kid desperately tried to get her to stop, to leave, to cease being such a butt munch. No luck. Karen reached over and grabbed our man, trying to force him out of the seat. Now, at that moment, an older guy stood up and confronted the woman. He demanded that Karen shut up, sit down, and stop assaulting other passengers. Hell, he made it clear that everyone else on the bus could see plain as day that Speckus had cancer. After all, skinheads don't usually shave their eyebrows as well. Karen wasn't having it. She was done. Her petulant rage was at a fever pitch. She turned around on the spot and punched the man in the face.
What
Unharmed,
the?
he faced the woman and responded,
What
"Okay,
the heck,
that
woman?
does it." Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against a passenger, and now assaulting an officer. You're in deep trouble, lady. And then get this. The guy pulls out a badge. Dude was a cop. The blubbery beast tried to make a run for it, but the passengers blocked the exit. Yeah, she was done. After a few stops, she was escorted off the bus to officers who took her away. Ultimately, Karen was given a few months in jail and some community service for her gross behavior. Justice served. But I have to say, I feel sorry for her kid. He just seemed to be done with his mom's crap like the rest of us. Hope he turned out okay. Oh, and in case you were wondering, Speckus was declared cancer-free shortly after. Hey, I love a happy ending. Sometimes my viewers send me their own tales of karmic judgment. Do you have any examples? Let me know in the comments or shoot me an email at stories@beamazed.com. That's exactly what my fan Guillermo did. See, his...
Honestly, good for the guy to get past to be okay after all the chemo and all that. Nice happy ending for him. A little worried for the kid though, considering his mom went to jail. But I also feel it's deserved, so I don't really know how to feel about that. On one hand, the Karen deserved it. On the other hand, I don't know the negative impact this might cause for the kid. Because that might be a possibility.
Tale involves a bully, an awful mom, and eels? Our guy was 12 years old, playing in a stream in South America, when he noticed a massive amount of eels. See, it was eel breeding season, and Guillermo was a bit of an animal guy, so he took out his smartphone and started recording them. His amateur zoology was interrupted when a random kid, 4 years his junior, ran over and shoved him straight into the water. Incensed, Guillermo started to stand back up, moving to fight back, but he didn't manage it. The kid's mom appeared out of nowhere and pushed him back down. Yeah, that's right, his mom shoved him too. She only saw our guy trying to retaliate and assumed he was the one trying to bully her son. After all, there's no way her precious baby could be such a massive loser. Somehow, this resulted in the bully and his mom arguing while Guillermo slunk away, enraged. Now, maybe the jerk was humiliated because his mommy had to run to his aid, but as Guillermo turned to give one last look at the freak show, he noticed that the kid had somehow wound up holding one of the eels. Still preoccupied by screeching at his mom, he didn't pay much attention to the creature he was idly handling. Now, there's one detail about these particular eels that I've left out until this point. They were electric eels. Yeah, that's right. The inevitable happened, and the brat got a huge shock from the slimy creature. He started bawling his eyes out, and his mom stormed away embarrassed, and Guillermo, he just smirked. The kid was fine physically, but I bet he steered clear of fish markets afterwards.
No nerve
Is there
damage?
anything more entertaining than
I
watching
thought
a
electric
criminal
eels would deal nerve damage if they shock you enough.
and burn?
That might
Well,
just be
back in April 2017 in Houston, Texas, employees at
Something
Latino
else.
Cell had their day turned upside down. This is John Bell, a lovely fella who was out on probation for aggravated robbery. Naturally, he had to be on his best behavior or else he'd be straight back to the clink. Now, as I'm sure you've probably guessed, he didn't do that. He decided to pay a visit to Latino Cell instead. Ooh, what a piece of work. But you heard the staff, they said no. So what are they going to do to get out of this situation?
Oh.
They locked him in the building while he was getting his grubby mitts on the cash register. I wonder how he's going to react when he realizes.
That's actually really clever.
Uh-oh, spaghetti-o!
Oh.
Yes, you are. With the front door locked from the outside, there was absolutely no way for Bell to escape. He was trapped in there like the rat he was. He desperately tried to free himself. Heck, he even tried shooting the door open, but no dice.
Is it bulletproof?
With no options left, Bell had only one recourse. Cry and plead like a tiny widow baby.
Please, I have nothing, please.
His pleading fell on deaf ears and the cops rocked up to release him, only to move him directly to
Crime
a
never
jail cell.
pays.
Yeah, boy.
Crime never pays.
Beautiful. The cringy criminal was sentenced to 5 years in jail for his little stunt, and his previous sentence was already 12. That's a lot of time. But I reckon he'll somehow manage to make it even more in the future. He's not the only pathetic villain I have to show you, though. We're jumping over to the UK this time. This CCTV footage from a grocery store named Asda shows a shoplifter attempting to make off with a whole load of electric shavers, probably trying to flip them. But there's a problem. See, these kinds of items are security tagged, so if our grotesque vermin man tried to use the main exit, an alarm would go off. So his solution? Head over to the back door and try to escape that way. Well, that looked like it hurt. Ow. Ow again. And he's just broken his leg. Okay, what a moron. After a futile attempt to force the door open, our floppy-legged freak gives up and hobbles away. Nobody asked him to do the stanky leg. I know he's probably in a whole load of pain, but I reckon his ego suffered more. Heck, imagine being the criminal who was bested by a friggin' door.
They're so
Anybody that's worked in the service industry can tell you how tough it is. Everybody has stories of
dumb. Why buy
rude
something
customers,
then? Why get something?
crazy patrons, and
Ever.
disgusted diners. Redditor Sariak used to work as a manager in a restaurant and knew this all too well. One night, a particularly pathetic customer informed his server that they'd better make sure that his fries were super hot. If not, he'd send them back. He made a huge scene. The whole establishment watched as he raved about the French fry fiasco. A weird thing to specify, huh? Not to mention insanely
What?
rude. But regardless, Sariak took the request seriously.
That sounds like a
He made
big
sure
thing.
the fries were fresh out of the fryer when they were delivered to the table. The whole restaurant was eager to see how the ogre would react. He took one look at the food, sighed, and asked the server to take it back. He claimed the fries were cold, and he could tell just by looking at them.
What?
Now, unless he developed a mutant power to see the temperature spectrum, he was either a liar or a moron. Our guy simply informed him that the fries were indeed hot, piping hot, straight from the fryer hot. But the weird fry fiend didn't believe him. To demonstrate, he picked up one of the fries with his bare hands, raised it in Sariak's face, and squeezed it slowly, allowing piping hot potato to spew onto his fingers. Mistake. The searing hot foodstuff immediately burned him, and the dim-witted diner yelped like a small child being told Elmo had been found dead in a storm drain. He dropped the fry. Everyone who'd been watching the situation erupted into hysterical laughter at the sight of the duplicitous dipstick nursing his burnt pointer. With a face as red as his sore finger, the maggot man lowered his head in shame. Unable to control his delight, Sariak turned to leave with a smirk. Enjoy your meal. Of course, with hindsight, it's totally obvious that this loser was just trying to score some free food. The nerve of some people. But I'd say he learned a valuable lesson about honesty.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious that he was trying to get free food, get enough complaints, and just get a free meal. Whatever. Never heard of a
It's
French
not
fry
just
thing,
waiters that
so
suffer. Delivery drivers
way
have an
too
awful
obvious.
time too. Believe me, I know. Back in 2015, over in Massachusetts, USA, Jared Tansey was working on his pizza delivery job.
Actually, don't
It was a
hear
night like
much
any
about
other.
these
But
things.
things changed when he delivered pizza to
And
F&R
it's
Auto
weird.
Sales. Their bill came to $42. They gave Jared $50. $7 and some shrapnel is hardly a huge amount. But Jared assumed that was his tip, so he thanked them and was on his way. After all, at least they tipped him, right? No, wrong. See, later that night, Jared received a call from his boss. The employees at F&R had demanded the change be returned to them, and so Jared needed to make the whole new journey back to them to do so.
That's weird.
What followed can only
Why-
be described
why
as
give him the extra bill?
infuriating.
It just doesn't make sense why you would hand me a bill that you were just going to have me drive back here to give you back anyway. Because I gave you everything they gave me so we would get the correct change. So you handed me a $5 bill that you were going to ask for back? Correct. I had even
That's weird.
pointed out on the slip that each soda was
It makes no
$8.
sense.
It's not like I just took off. I even explained that it was only 12 on the slip. So it's not like I just took off. I explained even the process of the...
Let's not, hey. Let's not be mad. I'll do it.
Oh, I'm not mad. I just had to waste my resources coming back here.
Yeah, but it's not.
All right, so listen.
It's not.
The manager apologized once for you. You want him to apologize again for you? Well, if you're not supposed to talk to my manager was my friend, and the owner would have had to yell at him, I wouldn't have came back. He would have had to come to the store.
Yeah, no,
Someone else was
no,
going to
you know
come
what,
back,
though? No,
actually.
don't even
It's okay.
listen to me.
It's okay. You got your $7 back, so the world is right now. I've got you on camera, video, audio, everything, buddy, so...
Hey, open the door before I put my foot in your ass. How's that one?
I told you, don't order from no more. You're gonna spit in your food. Get the owner and the manager on the phone. I want that job. I want him fired.
These people treated him like absolute dirt. And yeah, for the record,
Yeah, they
giving
sound
whole
like
extra
complete
bills for no reason is
jackasses.
stupid, and it's understandable for service staff to assume that it's a tip. Well, one member of the staff at FNR opted to release this CCTV footage online. Were
If
they
you think
hoping
that's
that
gonna
the
make
internet
you
would
look
mock
better,
Jared
you're gonna be wrong.
alongside them? I don't know. If so, they were beyond wrong. Support for the mistreated
gonna prove
delivery
that you
driver
people are
exploded,
jackasses.
with netizens around the globe sharing support. Hell, one Amanda Rogers
Exactly.
saw the debacle, set up a GoFundMe for the guy, and raised over $31,000 in total. So thankfully, Jared was compensated for his suffering. But what happened to the business? Well, the boss, who was away at the time of the incident, scrambled to respond quickly. He declared that the woman who threatened to kick our man was let go, and he promised the company would provide a cash sum to him. Yeah, right. I'm willing to bet that Jared never saw a dime from those losers. The public perception of the business plummeted, and the widespread coverage of the incident definitely impacted their sales. In the end, FNR's awful behavior was revealed to go beyond abusing pizza delivery drivers. See, the Attorney General's office wound up receiving over 100 complaints about the place's deceptive auto sales. These allegations accused FNR of selling deceptive vehicles and failing to provide the correct documentation for vehicles and transactions. Uh-oh. The now defunct auto shop was forced to pay $400,000 to customers they screwed over and $50,000 in penalties, with an additional $50,000 in suspended penalties. Now, I don't know if the bad publicity affected the wronged customers' decisions to report the shady practice, but it did totally tank the business image. Couldn't have happened to nicer people, if you ask me. Sexual harassment is not cool, frankly, it's gross, and the people who do it are profoundly embarrassing. Reddit user TV Lover told a story of a kid from his high school who was both gross and embarrassing.
So uncomfortable for
See,
me.
this weirdo saw a cute girl walking down the hallway and thought it would be hilarious to smack her butt. He was eager to impress some of the cool kids and thought it would be his ticket to popularity.
Are you
Clearly
an
incapable
idiot?
of reasoning coherently
Why
or
the
comprehending
heck
the
would
consequences of his actions. Like most teenage boys, he went for it. He spanked the stranger. The girl, understandably PO'd, immediately ran after this little freak. The chase went
Take
on
your
as
being
the
like
pair
a man.
darted through the hallways in a frenzy.
Or a human.
One of the victim's friends ran around to
is
cut off
the
the
more
pervert,
appropriate
blocking
term.
his escape. With nowhere to go, the jerk opted to jump out of an open window. But there was a problem. In his urgency to escape, he had miscalculated the height in relation to the top window pane, and as he slid through the gap, his head collided with the window, and he collapsed. Laughter erupted everywhere. With his head in agonizing pain, his glasses broken, and unable to see or stand for a few minutes, he lay on the floor and accepted his humiliation. Hell, the kids he wanted to impress were never going to want to hang out with him now. The uppity brat learned his lesson. And how does TV Lover know this? Because he was that uppity brat. What a twist. Still, I'm glad he understood that what he did was wrong and made a change. We, in the business, call that character development. When relationships get ugly, they can get really ugly. Just ask Redditor Mysterious...
Yeah, no one really would have. I don't think I can see many people actually doing that. Honestly,
Him to
for the guy to actually post his own downfall and his own mistake, that's actually really good character development.
1-3. They regaled us all with a story involving their own ex-boyfriend. Obviously upset about getting dumped, he went absolutely cuckoo bananas and tried to punch through System's car window. Yeah, with his bare hand. It was a stupid idea, as you would imagine. He swung, smashed through the window, and watched as shattered glass erupted outwards right into his fist. His hand was absolutely filled with glass shrapnel. The System didn't know why he did it, what he hoped to achieve, or if he had any inkling that he would end up a glass hedgehog. Guess he had hurt Fifi's. The craziest part isn't even her ex's idiocy. It's the fact that even after he destroyed her property, she was kind enough to drive him to the hospital. Man, I'd have left him to his own devices. You're a better person than me, System. I feel like a lot of older people just enjoy being complete scumbags. When people hit 60, do they just give up with any form of politeness? Over in Adelaide, South Australia, in 2017,
Hard to say, really.
Chris Smith was on his way back from the office. He approached the set of lights that turned red and naturally stopped the car, but one pedestrian wasn't happy with him. Absolute cinema. Amazing. What a tool. He was already stopped. Was this guy just upset that Chris took too long? Now, whatever the reason, I love how much angrier he got after smacking into the pole. He acts like it was Chris's fault, as if he placed it there specifically to spite him. Hilarious. Now, if you live in Adelaide and this is your grandpa, tell him to take his medication and have a nap. And if you have any other stories of karmic comeuppance, remember to send me an email to stories@bmas.com. Back when I was a kid, I was, shall we say, a
It's strange that such a thing happened. But I'm not gonna lie. If it was me in the driver's seat, I might be a bit amused by it.
at Port Lane.
More than
I
likely.
hated walking and would do whatever it took to avoid it. That's why I was fat. And this now deleted Reddit user, who we'll call Tublor, was the same. Back when he was a teenager, he was a big lardo like I was. One night, he was on his way home from a hangout with his buddies and was struggling to walk it. Too much exercise. I've been there. The lazy slob couldn't handle the struggle of moving his own legs any longer and needed a solution. Just then, as if the chubby fairies were looking down on him with pity, he discovered his answer. There, in front of Tublor, was a child's Razor scooter. It was nestled in someone's front yard, entirely defenseless. But could he really do it? Could he really steal from a child to satisfy his own sloth? Of course he could. Tublor grabbed the poor kid's ride and made off like a bandit. Now, I'm just glad the kid wasn't around to see it. He cackled like a maniac as he flew down the street, but the universe was not pleased.
You shall not pass!
After only half a block of travel, he flipped the thing forward, falling straight onto the sidewalk with a few hard thuds. He busted his lip and scraped up his knee pretty badly. And when he tried to get up, he sprained his ankle. Crime doesn't pay, kids. And considering that Tublor never returned to the scooter because of, and I quote, his teen angst, I reckon he has some more bad karma coming his way. If you hire someone to do some work for you, you'd better darn well pay them. If not, they could take matters into their own hands. Over in Cheshire, UK, in 2019, a woman hired some gardeners, led by a Jack Pendergast, to lay down a new patio for her. The workers toiled away, building up what seemed to be a decent relationship with the client, who was named Yvonne. After all, they put up an entire garden fence for her free of charge. That has to be evidence of some solid camaraderie, right? Well, however their relationship began, it quickly deteriorated. See, Jack asked Yvonne to pay up what she owed. She didn't.
Oh, no. Did the guy do all this hard work?
Maybe she forgot, maybe she didn't hear him properly, who knows. So, probably assuming the best, he asked once again. No payment. So he asked again, and again, and again. That's 5 times in total. 5 times.
Are you serious?
Jack had spent £7,300, about $9,747 on the project in total, all out of his own pocket. He'd been taken for a fool. So, there was only one thing to do. And they really did tear it down.
You know what?
The whole 9 yards.
That's reasonable.
Every bit of it, bit of the job. Get it all up, smash it to bits.
Holy cow. Well, can't say I blame them. You might have noticed the cops turning up at one point before leaving. Well, they confirmed that they wouldn't be getting involved. The dispute between Yvonne and Jack was declared a civil matter and left alone. So that means old Yvonne was left with a question. What the hell does she do with her yard, given that it looks like a war zone? I can't say that I care, really. After all, Jack claims that his guys weren't the first to get ripped off.
Making young lads work for money and not paying anyone. 3rd, 4th people she hasn't paid.
I've desperately tried to find out what happened after this situation exploded. Does the yard still look like this? Was Jack ever paid? If you're from Cheshire and you know what the outcome of this crazy tale was, let me know down in the comments. Black Friday
Honestly, yeah, it's a bit deserved.
is infamous for unhinged shenanigans of mentalist ghouls who do unspeakable things for a 75% off copy of Garfield Kart.
That's a
Back
thing?
in 2016, CCTV footage captured
seriously,
one of
is
the
that a
most
thing?
insane Black Friday confrontations I've ever seen, and that's saying something. Now, I can't show you the real footage because it's incredibly gross, but believe me, you'll thank me for that later. So there are two guys. One fella in a white jacket waits in line at the store. Another in a black leather jacket stands behind him. Now, evidently, the waiting just got too much for him, and the guy in the leather barged forward, pushing past the man in white. But that man's face had gone the same color. He was obviously not feeling very well. And chaos suddenly erupted, directly from the man's mouth. He projectile vomited all over the queue jumper, struggling to control his sickly spray as he stumbled away. The jumper was left standing alone, incredulous, and reeking of vomit. Yeah, we've all been there. Don't push in a queue ever. You never know who's about to blow chunks.
About that.
And on that revolting note,
I don't really know what to say about that. But that does kind of prove one thing. It proves that, well, it just proves that you don't know who is going to be around during Black Friday. So you honestly should be really careful about who is around you around that time period. But yeah, honestly, I'd like to hear your opinion on which one do you think is, from this list in this video, perfectly represents the title of When Karma Perfectly Strikes Awful People. In truth, I think it's here. Let's see. Hard to say, really. The Karen. The Nah, the boyfriend thing is probably just ridiculous. It's just very dumb. Well, the Karen, the scammer, and the guy that decided to harm a dog, in all honesty, definitely deserves that one. Deserve the karma that is. But yeah, and that nothing really else comes to mind. It's just those three that are like tied for number one for me. I'd like to hear your opinion on which one you think is the most perfectly, when karma perfectly strikes at awful people. Other than that, not much else to say. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be sure to see you all in the next video. Bye!